everybody. Hello and welcome back to You Know How This Ends. I'm your host, Anisha Christensen, and this is the podcast where I hope that every time you listen to it, you are reminded of who you are, whose you are, and that all of your hopes and dreams and desires are guaranteed. You know how this ends. The only thing that you have to do to have all your hopes and dreams and desires come true is to just not quit. Just keep going. Slow and steady wins the race. Sometimes fast and moving forward quickly, but just don't give up. And I'm so excited to have guest Felicia Goble on with us today. Felicia, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I love that our names rhyme, Felicia
I
and
know.
Tanisha.
It's so funny.
We could do a business or something together. It'd be so fun. Felicia is a mental wellness expert, been in the field for dozens and dozens of years, decades now at this point. And she and I, in fact, we were just talking like, how did we even get connected? Because we met over Facebook and Facebook Messenger and stuff. And she is a like I said, a mental wellness expert. And when we got connected and I said, well, tell me a little about who you are and what you do, she mentioned something about helping women recover from, and you're gonna have to like, I'm probably gonna say this all the wrong way, so we'll let you say all the things, but recover from cortisol addiction and essentially and learn how to navigate life without relying on cortisol. And it was so funny because just earlier that day, I was watching a YouTube video and the little ad that came up before it was something about cortisol and the cortisol causes this and this and this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I knew a little bit about cortisol, but hadn't really dived into that aspect of things. And so it kind of triggered something in me of like, oh, that's something that we need to talk about. And I could recognize those symptoms of when I had that cortisol hit and what it had caused in my body. And so then connecting with you when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, this is not a coincidence. This is something that needs to be addressed. If I need it, guarantee there's hundreds of thousands of women out there that need it as well, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
yeah, so dive in. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and let you kind of dive in, Felicia. Why don't you tell us a little about your background, why you went into this, who you are
Yeah,
from, why you're doing.
absolutely. Thank you. I have been really passionate about mental health in general for a very long time. I am a boy mom. I have three grown sons now, and one
Yay
of
for
my
boy
I
moms!
know boy moms, right? It's the best. And truly they are a gift to me. But my last pregnancy, I had postpartum depression after my last one. And nothing against, I have to share a disclaimer, nothing against Western medicine or Western alternatives. They have their place. I say that with just, authenticity. They really do have their place, but I don't think it's the answer for everyone. And that was a really hard trial post, pregnancy. And I learned a lot of things in that process of how I felt and how I didn't want to feel. And I really believe that the more we dive in and learn, there are some really great natural alternatives. And sometimes we just don't know what's out there, right? We just don't know. But we all have stress. There's no way to avoid it. And you know this more than anything, Denisha, is that our hormones go all over the place, especially after pregnancy.
Yep.
And so a lot of women face this. And so to be able to get your hormones back in alignment so that you feel like yourself again, and a lot of that has to do with cortisol too. There's no one without stress. We all have stress, right? And it's a part of life. And so if you can help manage your stress, aka managing your cortisol levels, that's huge. And this is what I've learned, especially the last few years, is it's all backed by science and has to do with your gut. That's your second brain. So I can talk about this for about an hour if you want, but I guess what would you like me to specifically share
Well,
on?
yeah, well, let me share this experience that kind of led me to start realizing that cortisol plays a piece. I was sitting, this was several months ago. I was sitting downstairs in our basement watching Saturday night, watching a cartoon with my family, and all of a sudden this memory of something that had happened earlier that week popped in. And all like I'm literally sitting eating ice cream with my family on Saturday night in my pajamas under a blanket, and all of a sudden, whoosh, all of this fear, guilt, shame, worry. Oh no, what has happened? Oh no, what is this? Like my heart started racing. I started getting all hot and sweaty. My stomach started churning. And I'm like well enough versed in all of this, maybe not realizing that was directly a cortisol release, but I knew enough to know, okay, this is my brain. I'm in this beautiful state of peace and love and trust and tranquility. And my brain is like, we need something to worry about. We need, like, we haven't had a dopamine hit, or not a dopamine, we haven't had a cortisol hit for a while, right? Like, we need something to worry about and focus on. And it just came whoosh, rushing in. And I just sat there and I just breathed and just started, just breathing in and out, focusing you're safe. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be resolved. You don't have anything to worry about right now. Here and now, you're safe, you're loved, all this stuff. And realizing this is what women and men are dealing with on a regular basis. That was a one-off crazy experience for me, right? But this is what many, many people in our society, in our communities, deal with on a daily basis.
Hmm.
They don't know what is going on and why they're having this.
Ooh, such a great topic. So, first and foremost, cortisol gets a bad rap, but it's actually a very necessary hormone that your adrenal glands make in order to handle stress. Like if you have a bear chasing you,
Yeah,
you're going to want that cortisol in your body to help
exactly.
you manage it, right?
100%. But most of
Right.
us aren't being chased by bears very often.
Right, right. But I mean, we're in Utah, it can happen.
It could
So,
happen.
and so where it gets dangerous is when your adrenal glands start pumping out too much cortisol because your body, your nervous system is overworked, right? Because you're in that fight or flight state. When your adrenal glands are just pumping out too much cortisol, and that can create a lot of side effects. And we all have stress, like I said, right? There's no way to avoid that. There are ways to manage it, so many cool ways to manage cortisol. That's my passion. That's what I've done a lot of research on. But it starts with your gut. It's kind of a funny thing. About 90% of your serotonin is actually produced in your gut, not in your brain.
So share
Um,
with our listeners who might not be familiar, like as you mentioned, the different chemicals and hormones and stuff,
yeah,
if you will share a little about like what that serotonin does, because serotonin's
yeah. So serotonin is like a happy neurotransmitter, chemical messenger your body makes, okay? And 90% is produced in your gut, actually in your small intestine. About 70% of your dopamine, that's your motivation neurotransmitter. So if you don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning, your dopamine might be a little low. And then the one neurotransmitter that gets overlooked is GABA, okay? It's a very long name, and I'm not going to pronounce it on here, but it's a very long name. You can look it up. It's GABA. That is your neurotransmitter that is responsible for helping you to feel calm. It's like, oh, I just love that word calm. And so it helps us to feel like we can manage life, helps you to have more greater mental and emotional bandwidth. And that's the one when that neurotransmitter is low in the body that can create a lot of anxiety in the body. Okay. Because we have an offset of bad bacteria in the gut. Do you mind if I explain the gut microbiome and
Oh,
how that works?
please do, definitely.
Cool. So we have trillions of bacteria in our gut, and a lot of times what happens, and I call it the standard American diet, is we eat, macaroni and cheese and pizza and cereal and all these things that a lot of processed foods too. And we have an offset of bad bacteria. We cannot produce the right feel good, happy, feel good motivation hormones without good bacteria in our gut. And so once you get that in alignment and you have more good bacteria in that gut, it sends the signal through the vagus nerve. That's one of the main channels
Yes.
up
Love the
up to
vagus
the
nerve.
brain.
Yes,
It's called the
yes.
gut brain axis, and it says the signal to your brain, "Hey, I feel good now. I feel calm again." And we all need that, right? But it's our standard American diet. Most people are just living such fast-paced lives, and especially women. I feel like we wear so many different hats. And so
100%.
to take that time out and do that self-care and give yourself something you actually need to help you manage life and be a good mom, be a good wife, ever, right? And so that's how it works. And once you get those right bacteria, you're going to start feeling so good. And again, this was only discovered like 15 years ago, the science behind
So
this. So it's pretty
crazy.
cool.
That gut brain. Oh man, I love that. And I don't know if you're familiar with astrology or human design at all. Are you
Uh-uh.
familiar with that? So there's in human design, there's 75% of the population has what's called a sacral motor, which is in your gut, like your gut. If you look at like the sacral chakra, that's in your belly, in your gut. And it's literally this motor that we have that will give us clear indications of our next step, that gut instinct, that gut response that we hear talked about. Like that's literally what it is. And so
Love it.
further evidence, right? Like scientific evidence of like your gut has a brain. It's like, yeah, surprise.
I love it. I love
Cool.
it. And it's one of those things that's like once you do research on this, anybody can do research on this and learn what those neurotransmitters do for the body. But it's no wonder we're such a stressed out, population, and we're all addicted to caffeine and all the things because we're just trying to keep alert and stay awake, right? Because we're so exhausted. High cortisol can also lead to insomnia. And so that's a vicious cycle right there in itself. It can create bloating, belly fat, moon face, it's called when you have puffiness in the face.
Mm,
And it can create a lot of issues. Water retention is another one, and irritability. I think the worst part about high cortisol is you're just snappy and irritable. That's one of the biggest side effects that I see mostly when I talk to different women. And
yeah.
so, yeah, it's just tough.
So do you feel like now I'm like, was that I was calling it a cortisol, release or whatever. Do you think that's actually what it was that I was describing, or would that have been something else, do you think?
I think it was a trigger that your cortisol gave you. What happens when we
Like,
have
is it
cortisol?
because
We
I
get
ate
we
ice
get
cream? Is it because I ate
we
ice
get well, and we get cravings too with high cortisol. We get crazy, especially crunchy snacks. I don't know why that is, but I hear that often from women is that late at night they want to crunch on something.
cream?
And a lot of that is stress induced because of high cortisol.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I want to mention too that a lot of people don't know is if you exceed about 400 milligrams of caffeine a day, that can also spike your cortisol and create more problems. So you want to stay, to 1 to 2 cups of coffee, no more than that if you're a coffee drinker, or if you drink energy drinks or whatnot. I wouldn't recommend, Monsters and some of those other popular drinks just because you're stirring the pot.
Don't do it. Those are not my thing at all. And anytime I see someone with them, I'm like, oh, don't do it. Just go get some sleep and some exercise and eat healthy, right?
Absolutely. And I love that you're talking about exercise. One thing that I learned too that most people don't know about is the way that you keep cortisol levels at a healthy range is low impact exercise.
Mm,
If you're a runner or you're like doing high fit, crazy kind of exercise, it's going to spike your cortisol. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, for saying that. But if you do low impact, walking, yoga, swimming, cycling, those are excellent. Pilates, those are excellent for keeping
yeah.
cortisol low.
You just named walking, yoga, dancing, and then
Cycling,
strength training. Those are
cycling's
all my
okay.
favorite things. Yeah.
Like, yeah, and not fast-paced walking. I mean, like just a normal walk.
Yeah.
If you start getting into speed walking, then you're defeating the purpose of it,
So
right?
how do you feel like where's the balance there in like, okay, but then other research shows, and this is what I feel like is like my husband and I are always like, well, this research shows this, and I'm doing this, and he'll be like, well, but this research shows this, so I'm gonna do this,
Yeah.
right? So much. And actually we come back to that because I feel like the truth of the matter is that it's each of us finding what works for us specifically.
Yes.
Like I
Hmm.
have found a lot of success and feel really, really good on a fasting, what is that
Yeah.
called?
Yeah. Intermittent fasting, right?
Intermittent fasting, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting, where I go anywhere from like a 20 gosh, like a 16 fast 8 hour eat to like a
Yeah.
20 or 22 hour fast and only a 2 hour eat.
Hmm.
That's what I'm doing lately is I've just been eating one meal a day. And my body
Hmm.
really, really likes that. My sister, on the other hand, will literally fall over and faint dead if she doesn't eat every 2 hours. She's like, I don't know how you can do that. And I'm like, I don't know how you're eating all the time. Like, I would love to eat all the time, but also I don't want to have to eat all the time. So
Yeah, she
and find out
probably,
your
yeah,
body.
and that might be a blood sugar issue for her.
Yep.
I'm a hypoglycemic, so I have to eat about every 3 hours minimum, and not a lot, just to maintain, blood sugar
Right.
balance.
Yeah,
So
just
that's
a little
tough.
bit there. So
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic, but it feels like the main thing is coming back to learning what your body wants and needs, learning how to communicate with your body, learning to trust your body, even though like some expert says this or some expert says that's because what I was gonna say is, okay, well, how do we find the balance between I should just have low impact stuff then to not have not raise my cortisol levels, but also we need to get our heart rate pumping and going,
Yes.
right? Like, to be healthy with that. So for you, where do you find kind of the balance in those?
And that's a great point because there are endorphins released when you're
Yeah,
doing the higher impact,
yeah.
but you're also putting strain on your body. So it's kind of a it's kind of a double-edged sword. And so yes, you're going to feel good. You're going to get those endorphins flowing, and you'll feel good. I mean, I always feel good when I get out, especially sunlight. Vitamin D, natural vitamin D, is phenomenal for thwarting the effects of depression, especially.
Mm,
I've had depression, I've had anxiety, and just getting outside, like you said, is just so powerful. But for those that are like constantly running, that is a lot of strain on the body. You will feel good, but there are side effects from that, not just, compounding your joints all the time. That's another topic, right? But it will spike your cortisol. Cortisol is normally highest in the morning and then it tapers off during the day. And it should be the lowest at night when you're getting ready to wind down. But if cortisol is really high, a lot of women will experience racing thoughts and they just lay in bed and they can't like turn their brain off. That's a sign of high cortisol. Or they wake up once or twice in the middle of the night. That's a sign of high cortisol too. So it's just finding, like, I love that you said that, is finding what works for you, but don't overdo it. I think if you go to one extreme or the other, it's not great. Like find that happy place, right?
yes. I used to be a major pendulum swinger where I was like, ooh, if a little bit is good, then a lot is even better. And I'd go like all the way to one extreme. And then, and now I feel like I'm much better at being in that middle ground as far as, all the different stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so what is the difference when you were talking about that? A question that I had that I bet our listeners have as well is what is the difference between cortisol and adrenaline?
So your adrenal glands are the glands that produce that hormone. Okay. So when you're under too much stress, right, your adrenal glands will be triggered to produce more of that hormone. And that's often called adrenal fatigue, or we get into that fight or flight where our nervous system doesn't catch its breath, right? It's overworked. And I talk to women about this a lot where they just can't relax and it can create joint pain in their body, fibromyalgia, you know.
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, we weren't really talking about fibromyalgia, and now you hear it all the
There you
time.
go. Yep.
And I truly believe it's linked to stress and high cortisol.
So then, I still don't think I understand when is it cortisol and when is it adrenaline? Or are they two completely different things? Or are they the same thing?
So the no, so adrenaline is also it's a
And it sounds
hormone.
like they do the same thing as I guess kind of what I'm trying to figure out. It sounds like they kind of get to the same results.
So adrenaline, I feel like gives you that high, whereas cortisol is your body's stress response. Cortisol is your stress hormone helping you manage whatever is happening, good or bad, right? Whereas adrenaline gives you kind of a high, like it gives you that good feeling, like you're invincible.
Uh-huh.
Cortisol is not that feeling. Cortisol is your body saying, you got to do this, right? It's fight or flight.
Mm.
You're either hiding or you're jumping, you know, and it's a little bit different in that way. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, that does
But
make sense. Even
yeah,
just the description of like adrenaline feels good
it
until it
does feel
wears
good.
off. And
Adrenaline
cortisol
feels
doesn't
great.
feel good.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Mm.
have a neighbor that's an adrenaline junkie. She admittedly so, and she is a national canyoneering guide. And I mean, she truly loves adrenaline. She is a true adrenaline junkie, and that is not me, you know. But yeah, I mean, it does feel good, right? To be
Interesting.
doing some awesome things like that. So
Mhm. Well, in the excitement of like a new opportunity or a new adventure. And that's another
yeah,
thing too is recognizing, I just felt that yesterday in fact, where I was like, ooh, like all this new exciting things. And it was like, okay, like that's your emotions. That's not spirit, that's not God, that's not like your body leading, guiding you.
right.
That's your emotions getting all excited about what it might bring. And it's not a bad thing, but it's also like, okay, like get back down to neutral and just
Yeah.
still feel good when you're at neutral and you don't have those
Yeah.
chemicals running through you.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just being
And
able
and I'm finding this is just one thing I've realized this past year, especially the power and importance of sleep.
to.
Deep sleep and then deep REM sleep. Your brain goes through a physiological process where it rinses out excess free radicals through the brainstem. National Geographic actually did a special on this. That's so amazing. If you want to ever, it came out several
Yeah.
years ago, and it is phenomenal on actually what happens when you're in that deep sleep. And a lot of people don't ever go into that deep sleep. And they're linking that to now to, memory disorders, Alzheimer's later on. It's because
Mhm.
people aren't getting that deep quality sleep where their brain can reset itself and get refreshed again. And
Yeah.
so, again, that leads to high cortisol can be a contributor of that. And so, just keeping cortisol levels at a lower level is so important. It affects everything.
Okay. So I feel like we've done a good job of describing what it is and why it's important to keep those levels low. Let's teach and share with our listeners now, like, how do we do that? How do you keep your cortisol levels in a low state?
Okay. So a few things. There's daily, if you're an exerciser, right? Low impact exercise, keeping it at bay. Eating good, a balance of proteins, fats, and carbs. We need healthy fats in our diet, and that's for blood sugar balance. Okay. When you start feeling, irritable and cranky, the hangry feeling, right? We know what that feels like. That means that your blood sugars are tanking, right? Which can affect your cortisol. So there's so many aspects to this. So eating proteins, fats, and carbs together, or minimum proteins and fats or carbs together. And so that's very important for just blood sugar balance. So that's
Mhm.
practical. Breathing techniques like box breathing, where
Yeah.
you breathe in 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, release for 4 seconds, and then hold it again for four. And you do that, and it just calms the nervous system down because you want to calm that nervous system down. Okay. Because when we're in that tight fight or flight feeling in our body, it causes so many other side effects to your body, creating joint pain as well. So
And
that
even
those
like
are
I
very,
said,
yeah, yeah,
those
those are
are really,
very practical.
yeah. Well, and that's exactly what I did there, sitting on my couch watching a movie with my family was just that exact box breathing
Yeah.
exercise and just
hmm
bringing that down and
hmm
realizing, and again, like you said, all like blood, like heart pumping. I'm sitting there doing nothing. My heart's like pounding inside my chest, starting to sweat, like all these different things that I feel women are attributing and men as well. But I feel like do you feel like it's predominantly women or is it?
It's both for sure. I mean, I've talked to men that definitely and here's the vicious cycle of this is that cortisol can create anxiety symptoms. About 19% of the population has anxiety in America right now. Okay, which
Only
is kind of
19?
high.
I would say
19.
way higher than that. That seems
Yeah,
really low.
that's based on different studies that I've read, 19%. But also, like, if you were to look at those numbers maybe 30, 40 years ago, what would those numbers be now?
Yeah.
Like that. I'm just kind of like, I think it's our lifestyles also. One thing that I've kind of put the kibosh on is just taking ownership of my own health and
Mm.
realizing that I'm not getting certain foods in my diet every day. So that's kind of, I went on this journey a few years ago. And I take something so simple. It's a cortisol reducing drink. I take it every day and it
Exactly.
literally lowers cortisol. It has very specific strains, pre and probiotics and phytobiotics and postbiotics
Amazing.
that help get your gut in alignment to produce the right feel good hormones so you feel good here. So it helps me basically with mental and emotional bandwidth. So I love that. And again, it's all natural. And I think a lot of people just don't know that that you can do something, implement something natural, and it will actually help you. It will work. We don't always have to resort to Western medicine. So
Yeah, yeah. And I think you shared you recommend the line of Amare products. Is that
I
correct?
do. I love their mental wellness products. Absolutely. Yeah. And I will say, I think most people that I see they work for, I think there's only a few that it doesn't work for in my, experience,
Yeah,
using them myself.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And this helps with GABA production, which is really important, which is a big deal for me. Just feeling calm during the day. And, if you were to see me 4 or 5 years ago handling stress,
Same, girl, same, same.
I handle stress a lot different now, and I love that. Just having more bandwidth and a lot more patience. So it's
Yeah.
so important.
How do you feel like that has affected your health and your lifestyle?
Oh. helps with a lot of things. Sleep. You know, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I remember, and once in a while it will happen, but not like it used to. I would walk into a room and forget why I walked in the room.
Yep, and they're done that.
Yeah. Or I'm looking for my phone and it's in my hand the whole time.
Right?
You
Yes,
know,
they're done
that
that.
really that really creates high cortisol can create a brain foggy kind of way of feeling. And I didn't like that. And so yeah, it's just kind of, keeps me, sane every day.
Yeah. So let's give like five things to do to get your cortisol levels under control. Oh, I'm raising a hand. So one
Mm,
would be your diet, eating, and let's see if I've got this, and then we'll see if we're good. So your
diet.
would be like healthy fats and proteins and carbs. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking
Yep.
like complex carbs, or are we talking like just mostly vegetables, fruits and vegetables? Are we
Trying
talking?
to avoid refined sugars, I will say that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not super strict on carbs. Occasionally if you want a donut, just make sure you partner it with a protein.
Okay.
If you're gonna have a donut, get
Have some
some chicken
bacon with
breast
it.
or grab your Costco rotisserie chicken. I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But diet for sure affects cortisol for sure. And again, specific pre and probiotics because we're just not getting them in our average diet. We're just not.
So it
Um,
sounds like
yeah.
if someone's not really willing to change their diet yet, starting with some good Amari probiotics would be a good place to start.
Oh yeah, pre and
And
probiotics for sure. Yeah,
okay, and then if they're willing to change their diet, adding it or to like slightly alter, because I'm always like,
yeah.
okay, like maybe I don't want to completely change it, but I'm willing to add in this, right? It sounds like adding in
Mm-hmm.
just some healthy fats and proteins might be the best
Mm-hmm.
way to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Is that
Absolutely.
accurate?
And it's so simple. The best healthy fats that I would recommend, there's two is avocado and then olive oil. They're excellent.
Do
So those are great.
you know what I eat almost every day for lunch?
What?
Like a cup full of peanut butter.
Wow.
A lot of peanut butter. And it's like I do the Adams kind, which is just like
Yeah.
it's just like peanuts and like a tiny
Yeah.
bit of salt, right? And
Yeah.
it's so funny because again, this sister that she just has to eat all the time. I was telling her, I'm like, yeah, I just eat like peanut butter, sometimes with a banana, usually just the peanut butter, every day for lunch. And then I'm really not hungry again till dinner. And she's like, I don't know how you can do that. And then one day I sat down and like went through because I just eat it straight out of the jar. And
Yeah.
when I went through and like, okay, if I go through a jar a week, how much am I eating? And I was like, oh, that's why I'm not hungry because I'm getting like 60 grams of protein and 90 grams of fat every day for lunch. Like, that'll keep you full for a bit. But I've been doing that for years and I feel really good and I'm able to maintain like a healthy weight without having to do like too much extra. I'm
Well,
and
and
I eat fairly healthy and stuff, but I don't know. Again, it's a matter of like listening to your body and finding what works for you. I love peanut butter. I always have loved peanut butter. Guess what?
well, and you're also getting some healthy fat in there too. I don't know if
That's
it's
what I
the,
mean.
it's you need fat in your diet for your brain to function,
Yeah.
so it's so important to get fat. And a lot of times we want to do the fat free thing or reduce fat. We need the fat, just not, excess amounts of it, right?
Well, the right kinds too. So,
Right, right. So
okay.
I would add on sleep is a
Okay.
major one.
So
At
food,
least
sleep,
absolutely.
eating.
Minimum 7 hours. Minimum 7 hours. Okay. And here's another thing that I discovered about and might help other people that it's people find it weird when I share this, but I actually turn the ringer off my phone because it's a trigger for anxiety.
Oh yeah.
When you're constantly checking your phone, and here's the thing, Denisha, we're always checking our phone anyway, right? But to have the ringer,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
a trigger for cortisol and anxiety. So I actually have turned this off for a couple of years now and I have it on vibrate. So I know when someone's calling me. And if I miss it, I can always go back and call them again, right? This has been huge. Just turning off the sound for my ringer on my phone.
Oh, 100%. I started a couple years ago. Mine doesn't even vibrate. It's completely off on do not disturb mode all the time, like
Love it.
24/7.
I love it.
And again, like I'm on it enough and checking it enough that I see
Exactly.
something comes in. And again, if I miss a call, cool, I'll call you back, right? So
I have
100%
so
agree.
much respect for people that do this because it's like you have to be an advocate for your own mental health. You have to.
Yep.
And who wants to be checking this all the time, right? It's not good.
Yeah.
And we're training our young people every time they look at their phone, it's a dopamine hit, you know, which is making it so hard for our young people to be without it now. So if they happen to, you know, lose it or whatever, I mean, there's huge panic, right?
Yep.
So it's very concerning to me.
I agree. I agree. And each of us, again, each of us gets to choose. And really, the phone is for, and I learned this a long time ago. In fact, we would tease my dad because before mobile phones and when the phone was attached to the wall, right? The phone would go off and he'd be like, get the phone, get the phone. Who's get the phone? Someone answer the phone. And we were like, Dad, they'll call back if they need us. They'll leave a message if they need us, right? Like the phone is for my convenience, not yours. I will
Right.
answer, I will respond back. And I tell all my clients and my VAs that work for me, like, I'm going to reach out to you or send you a message when it's convenient for me. I extend the same privilege to you. Feel free to get back to me when it's convenient for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
having
I
that
love that.
respect of time and privacy,
I love it. I think that's so, so important. Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
diet, the way you're eating, getting enough sleep. Let's talk about that for just a second. With if someone feels like they're not getting enough sleep, I mean, besides the obvious of go to bed earlier, put your phone down earlier, what are some things people can do to get maybe better quality of sleep?
Quality sleep, for just something that has helped me, is a good hot shower. If you're struggling, you've had a stressful day. By the way, a good warm to hot shower can reduce cortisol as well. Okay.
So
You want
good.
to relax your body. Stepping in a hot tub is really beneficial for sleep
Uh,
as well.
I think I love
Yeah,
hot. Yeah.
right. Oh, me too. Amen, sister. I love it. And so that is super helpful, to be able to help people naturally get to sleep. You want to avoid melatonin, by the way, because synthetic melatonin trains your own body because you make your own. It trains your own body to not make your own melatonin.
Okay,
So
good to know.
then you become reliant on the synthetic forever, and then you have to increase the dose. So there are melatonin-free options that will help you naturally get to sleep and stay asleep longer.
Cool.
So yeah, and if people have questions about that later, I can help answer questions
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
later. But yeah,
I feel like for me, having it dark enough,
yes.
like as much total darkness as possible. We have a little nightlight down the hall that I can kind of see, but
Hmm.
pretty dark. And then
Hmm.
to fall asleep, it's funny because I love, like soothing music to help you fall asleep. But for me,
Yes.
when my normal MO is I just read. I have a novel that I don't, it's just
Hmm.
entertainment, and I just read until I can't keep my eyes open anymore. And then I put it down and I fall asleep. But for whatever reason, if that's not possible, that's not working, I'll put on a podcast, or I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so like a conference talk or something where I can just kind of
Yeah.
zone out and just listen, and it gives my brain something to focus on, but not something that I need to be figuring out. And it just quiets things down enough to just boop, doze off.
I love that you brought up reading. That's an excellent way to help someone fall asleep naturally. Playing on the phone, again, you're getting a dopamine hit from that. So put the phones away, put TV away. I know as much as we love to watch a show late at night, you want to turn that off as well. And white noise is actually really beneficial too for falling asleep.
Yeah,
So
that white
yeah.
noise. Okay, so we've got the way you're eating, the way you're sleeping. We touched on exercise, that
Hmm.
low impact
Hmm.
exercise out in the sunshine. I walk almost 365 days a year. I walk outside. I love it. Like
Wow.
almost no matter what the weather is for that exact reason. I know that my
Love
body
it.
needs to be moving and it needs to be moving outside. So
Love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
big. What we'd say are other like two main things.
I would say the way you breathe. Breathing is so important. Okay. When you're having a lot of stress, take deep breaths. Don't be quick to react when there's a stressful situation. A lot of times we just want to go, mama bear mode or whatever, right? And it's important to take some deep breaths before we react,
Hmm.
for a lot of different reasons,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But breathing is so important. We have a lot of shallow breaths because our body's under constant stress. And so a lot of women will just, breathe shallowly, and you want to breathe deeply. And that will calm your nervous system down again. So, so important. Yeah.
100%. I'm a big fan of breathing.
Yeah.
A big fan of breathing. Okay, one more top five, would you say?
Um, Gosh, I'm trying to think. We covered a lot.
Maybe supplements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
supplements are definitely magnesium is great for sleep, by the way, if you struggle with sleep. There's 4 different kinds of magnesium. So, and I can't remember which one is the one that helps with sleep, but do research on that on, whoever's listening on your own time and you can, learn about that. Vitamin D is really important for keeping cortisol low, vitamin B6 and B12. Those are your stress vitamins, if you will. Those are very important too. So, and a lot of those are found in like complex carbohydrates, but I prefer, just in a supplement form, because I know I want to make sure I'm getting it right. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm always getting it from food. So, yeah, definitely dark leafy greens are very good too. Another thing too is iron is so important. I used to be iron deficient, and when I went on the supplements, it created a lot of issues, constipation issues, TMI. But I'm sharing here today
Never
because,
TMI.
it really is a tricky,
Balance.
it's, it is, it really is because it causes a lot of issues for women. And so if you struggle with that, just eat dark leafy greens. There are like some natural foods that have iron in them already and just be diligent about that, right?
Yeah.
Spinach, some of those things. So,
Yeah. Something you
yeah.
just said made me think what role does like relationships and connection with other people, what role does that play in cortisol? I know that's more of like
Ooh,
serotonin and dopamine and stuff, but what
this
role?
is for another topic, right? Like
Yeah,
we could
okay.
wide open. We hear a lot about boundaries, right? And creating healthy boundaries. And one thing I've learned just as a wife and a mom, it's okay. Don't you find, especially in our culture too, is that we want to be that yes person. We say yes to everything. We kind of do because we want to be there for people, right? We want to be that rock star mom or the rock star wife. And a lot of times we're burning ourselves out. We're burning both ends of the candle, which again creates more cortisol.
Yeah.
And so you want to create a healthy balance. Is this necessary? Is this something that I really need to do?
Mm,
Right? So I think creating healthy boundaries is so important for your own mental health. So important. So
100%.
saying no is okay.
100%. Oh my goodness, that goes back to what I was talking about with that sacral authority, that gut response in your belly. And I
Mhm.
think about this all the time, but in case someone hasn't heard me talk about it yet, when you have an opportunity or an extended invitation to do something, if your gut response is like, uh-huh, like that's a clear, like, yes, it's almost like a forward
Yeah.
movement with your body, right? And lots
Yep.
of times we get that uh-huh and we talk ourselves out of it. We tell us all the
Yeah.
reasons why we shouldn't or why we can or why we don't, blah, blah. And on the opposite, very, very often, in fact, probably more often than not, for some of us, that initial gut response is, like, no.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of this like, and again,
Yes.
we talk ourselves, I should do that. I chop shit
Yes.
about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
learning to listen to, again, we have that gut brain. Listen to your
Mm-hmm.
gut. It is there for
Mm-hmm.
a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The more I have seen in my life and in my clients, the more really true and honest and in alignment I can get with trusting that initial gut response, whether it's a yes or no, and letting go of whatever story my brain's making up about what that means, and just being in
Yeah.
that space of trust. Literally, I mean, that's where I am today, doing what I'm doing, is because
Yeah.
to trust
I
my
love
gut,
it. I love it.
trust
I
God.
think family relationships is so hard though, because people that may not understand where you're coming from, right? There's
100%.
always that,
Yeah. But
I
all the
mean, let's
more
be honest.
reason, yeah, but all the more reason to trust that and to let go of
Yeah.
what other people, even close family members, think that you should or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Because when every time one of us women makes that choice and makes that change and stands up for herself and chooses herself over what other people think or whatever, oh, surprise, we're all excited. Zoom agrees with me, apparently. We got all this flow through. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Then we give permission to others to do the same. And one by one, we can change. We can
Yeah.
make those changes. We can
Yeah.
stop giving from burnout and overwhelm and start giving from love and expansion and overflow. And because we are
Yeah.
in this healthy state with our bodies.
Absolutely.
And
Don't you find that when we're doing something that's not in alignment with who we are and what we're trying to do in our lives, that it just feels like we're drudging through the mud? Like
100%
you know?
awful. And
Yeah.
on the flip side, even when you have a lot to do, or there's like what we might call like hard work to do, if it does feel in alignment and it lights us up, it's like, I can do this all day long. I can work hard at this all day long because it feels so good and it's in alignment
Yeah.
versus feeling like it's,
Yeah.
taking our
Yeah.
force
Yeah.
away, sucking us to.
And yeah. But it is tough with family relationships and explaining what, they need to understand about you. And I think creating that boundary is a good thing, right? And they'll respect you more long term for that, right? To say, I'm putting me first or my family first, whatever that is, right? So
100%. Yeah, and I've been on that journey with and have had some tough conversations with family members about that because they don't agree with the choices that I'm making or the different ways that I'm choosing to live my life, with all these things. And but ultimately it ends up being a relationship of at least if not like a close tie, it's at least a respectful relationship.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
most important thing anyway is that we're living in alignment with God. And so that's
Mm,
number one. That's really the only person that you ever need to check in. One of my MOs is let God's voice be the loudest. Always, always,
mm.
always let God's voice be the loudest. That's louder than my husband, my kids, my parents, my siblings, anybody else.
I love that.
Loudest.
Love that.
So
Truly authentic. That's living authentically. Really love it.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for being here, Felicia, answering a bunch of my questions that I have about all this, answering, questions that I know that our listeners will have as well. How can
Thank
people
you.
connect with you?
It was so wonderful being with you today.
Thank,
Appreciate it.
thank you, thank you. How can people connect with you further?
Um, I mean, I have a few different handles. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. At Felicia Goble is my handle for Facebook, or
Yep,
you can email me at felicia.goble@gmail.com.
perfect. We'll be sure and have those in our show notes. Because
Okay.
I'm guessing we'll have a lot of people with more questions for you. So
Okay. Awesome.
do you do
Thank you so
and
much.
you have a coaching practice and stuff, right, to help women with all this, and you have the product
Yeah,
you
I
recommend.
talk to a lot of women. Yeah.
Good.
Hmm. Yep.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing. All
yeah.
of you who are listening, if this feels something that you're like, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? Alicia
Yeah.
Felicia's your girl.
Help you have more bandwidth. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Hey, I'm back. I forgot to tell you, I was so excited about all the things that we were learning with Felicia that I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to remind you about the E3 Nationals Real Estate Investing Conference. This is the real estate investing event of the year. And whether you're where I was not even a year and a half ago, where I thought that real estate was totally something I was going to do down the road, way down the road after everything else was figured out. And then God let me know, actually, cutie pie, you have those backwards. Real estate is the piece that is going to help you to create your empire. I firmly, solidly believe that. So if you haven't started real estate investing yet, and if you're thinking, well, I don't really have good credit, I don't have time, I don't have the money, come check us out. Come join us at the E3 Nationals Conference, October 23rd through the 25th in Salt Lake City. This is where we're going to be teaching and training you on how to get started before you think you're ready, before you have the money, before you have the time. Let us help you jump in and start making massive and passive income through real estate investing. This is the way that the wealthy are doing their business. They make money on their business and they invest in real estate. Or they take the money they're investing and using and receiving from investing in real estate and use it to grow their business. This is a strategy that I want to teach you. And this is what we're going to be training at the E3 Nationals Conference. So whether you're just starting out or haven't even ever considered it yet and feel this little bit of a pull, we've talked about before of having that desire, that willingness to take that next step, even if it feels scary. Or maybe you're already a savvy real estate investor and you just want to come and learn more amazing tools and resources and connect with other people who are doing the deals to become equity partners, business partners, money lenders, whatever it is that you're looking for in your business. This is the place to come and find it. So come and check it out. The links are in below. If you do the VIP option, you get to come and have lunch with me and sit by me and all the other presenters. And I would love to have you there and spend time with you there. So we'll talk to you soon. Please reach out if you have any questions. And remember to like and subscribe or leave a comment if you're on YouTube, if you're on Apple or Spotify, leave a review. That will help if you're enjoying this because that will help to get our message and our podcast out to more men and women who will be so blessed by this. I would appreciate that so, so much. Thank you. I will talk to you soon. Bye.